No matter if points are gained or points are lost, there will be much to discuss. For analysis regarding tonight's Winnipeg Jets game, here are Dave Minuk, Ezra Ginsburg, and your host, Drew Mandel. The Illegal Curve post-game show starts now.
Good evening, Winnipeg. Good evening, Manitoba. For all those joining us live this evening on our YouTube channel and all of our social media platforms, we say good evening, universe. It's good to be among friends sometimes. And sometimes that is when you watch a hockey game of that caliber. So it's time to come together and share, commiserate for those of you who are upset about the performance of the Winnipeg Jets.
It's the Illegal Curve safe space.
That's exactly it. It's the Illegal Curve safe space right now. If you're not already watching the Royal Rumble or something along those lines, come be with us. Come be with yours truly, Drew Mandel. Come be with Ezra Ginsburg. We'll talk about it. We'll share our feelings. We'll hash out our emotions. And on the other end of it, we'll come through in a better space, in a better mindset, or at the very least, courtesy of my friend the Fireball, drunk. So really, you can't lose one way or another. Joining us right now on the Illegal Curve post-game show. Ezra, good to see you. It's been a whopping
good to see you as well.
11 hours and 50 minutes since we last got together, but let's get together to talk about what was just an abysmal performance by the Winnipeg Jets, getting absolutely embarrassed on home ice by a Philadelphia Flyers team that, frankly, isn't that good of a hockey team, yet the Jets made them look like a Montreal Canadiens team from their heyday in just an absolutely embarrassing effort at home by the Winnipeg Jets, Ezzy.
Yeah, this is not. I think you were looking. You were thinking of the 1970s dominant Habs. I got your back there. I know what you were saying. This Flyers team is most likely not going to be a playoff team, and not only are they not going to be a playoff team, most likely they had came into this game having lost 3 in a row. Right. And that was their last game before the break, the All-Star break. Right. So, they're obviously going to go into the break feeling very good. And the Jets have one more opportunity here, Drew. But this is now officially the worst stretch of the season for the Jets. Right. We talked about it on this morning show. Right. Like nobody's hitting the panic button. But Saturday night
we're getting closer to it, though.
Well, I mean, look, the Jets are still comfortably in a playoff spot. But if they keep playing like this, especially coming out of the break, they're not going to be second in the Central for long. They're now 3 points out of first, 3 points behind Dallas. So look Saturday night at home, the crowd was fired up, but then on those last 2 power plays in the third period, like the game was obviously out of reach after Connor Hellebuyck was pulled after the 4th goal. The game was over, but the Jets had a couple of power plays. Justin Braun took that interference penalty, and then you had the Noah Cates delay of game penalty, and the Jets couldn't even get 1 goal on the board for the home crowd. Like it's just really frustrating. And a few examples of how you could sum up, what's happening for the Jets right now. As you remember in the second period, Nikolai Ehlers goes down, speed down the left wing and inexplicably just completely whiffs on it. Like it was really bizarre. And, later in the game, in the third period, the first power play after Justin Braun took that penalty, I thought it was summed up by Kyle Connor. He's kind of in the slot, high slot, takes a shot and it hits Mark Scheifele in front of the net, if you remember that, right? So Jets, Josh Morrissey missed the net on a really good wide open opportunity in the second period on a dish, I believe, by Scheifele. Passes aren't crisp, shots aren't hitting the net, turnovers, just missed coverage. Like we're going to get into the Flyers 4 goals here, even though I don't think Jets fans want to necessarily, revisit these 4th goals.
We promise we'll be funny when we go through it. It's okay, folks. Don't run away screaming. We'll be funny when we go through this game. We promise.
And we're going to provide Royal Rumble updates, right? Because you've got it on the second screen, right, Drew? So we'll talk about wrestling. We'll talk about, anything aside from that game. But no, obviously we have to talk about this game because the Jets are not playing well right now. You can, call it pace of play. You can call it connectivity. You can call it whatever you want. The Jets have lost 5 of their last 7 games here. And we talked about it with Kenny Wiebe, as you mentioned earlier this morning. You look at the Jets, 5 of their last 7 games. Now, 6 of their last 8 games, they've scored 2 goals or less. Like the offense has dried up big time. And, where was Mark Scheifele tonight? Where was the offense? Where was Blake Wheeler tonight? Blake Wheeler was coughing the puck up. He was definitely doing that. it was, and he obviously, got away with a penalty there, but I mean, it was just unbelievable. Like I thought for sure that the Jets were going to come out and, just demolish the Flyers Saturday night after having lost 2 games in a row. Right.
Mhm.
And the first period was okay. Like they were putting the puck on the net. They had some chances, but they had nothing to show for it. And then it seemed like almost like when the Flyers went up 1-0 after Noah Cates made it 1-0.
Yeah.
It almost seemed like they were deflated. So this is just a very fragile team right now.
Very good word. Fragile is absolutely what they are right now. I mean, what did we talk about this morning on the show? We started the show with, when I was being funny, and I put that in quotes because that's a matter of everyone's personal opinion.
It was funny.
Okay, thank you. When I was racing through the introduction to talk about pace, there was no pace to the Jets game today. Maybe in the first period there was a little bit, but you're absolutely right, Ezzy. As soon as the Jets, faced a little adversity, and I'll say adversity in this instance being the Flyers getting the opening goal, there was no pushback. There was no response. I mean, you saw Rick Bowness take that timeout, and that was very much I'm not mad, I'm disappointed timeout. You saw him go up and down the bench. How often do you see a coach, Mike Keenan used to do it all the time, but you don't see it very often anymore, where a coach just takes a timeout, sort of in the middle of a play. It wasn't, to get a fresh set of legs out there. It wasn't anything like that. It was just we're playing so poorly, I need to call a timeout because you guys aren't listening otherwise. And immediately thereafter they had a response in that Adam Lowry, had that opportunity, and Carson Kuhlman had that opportunity.
I was going to say Carson Kuhlman had two opportunities. He had the initial shot, and then they had that backhander that went off I don't know if it was the post or crossbar. Right. It rang iron. So you're right. I mean, there was a pushback, but again, you didn't put a goal up on the board.
And the pushback was one shift. That was it. There was no supplemental pushback. It's not like the tone of the game changed at that point, and that was still a close game at that point. It wasn't that he didn't call the timeout after it was 4-0 or anything like that. The game wasn't out of hand. If you can't come back from a goal down or 2 goals down against the Philadelphia Flyers, well, what are we all doing here then? I mean, it's not like this is a world-beating team you're playing against. This is the Philadelphia Flyers. You saw them last Sunday. They weren't very good. Now, Carter Hart is a better goalie than Felix Sandstrom, and that's who was in net for the Flyers last week.
Did you see Carter Hart's career numbers against the Jets going into this game was a .950 save percentage? Like, but again, Carter Hart is a human being. Like, it's not like, Carter Hart, if you look at goal save above expected, I think his numbers have gone down a little bit, but earlier this year, he was top 3 in the league in goal save above expected. So Carter Hart is a real good goalie. Like, he's a legitimate number 1 goalie, and he's young too, and the best is yet to come. But again, like, a lot of shots from the outside later in the game, and not a lot of second chances. We talked about a lot of missed opportunities. Like, again, yes, Carter Hart was good, but I don't think the Jets got goalie tonight. That was not what happened.
Oh God, no! That word can't enter into anyone's vocabulary based on tonight's game. The Jets just got outplayed. They got beaten by the team that was better than them, and it's it's one thing when it happens against Buffalo on Thursday. Well, Buffalo's a pretty good hockey team. I mean, I know that they're not in a playoff spot, but look at their record. Look a little bit, underneath what they're strictly their wins and losses.
They're one of the hottest teams in the league right now. Right.
Philadelphia's not. No one's saying this Flyers team is any better than their record is. They're just not they're a middling hockey team that's not going to make the playoffs.
They work hard though. Like, they've got a lot of good young players. Like, we talked about it this morning. I've always liked Konechny, but Scott Lawton, Morgan Frost, they've who else am I missing here? Owen Tippett, who scored a goal. Noah Cates has been really impressive. He went to University of Minnesota Duluth. I think he played 1 year with Dylan Sandberg. So you've got it's a younger team, but it's a hard-working team.
The Jets
this was not a more talented team beating a less talented team. This was the more talented Jets. Team. Yeah, it's just not some of the turnovers and the missed coverage that you saw in this game is just unacceptable.
Well, it's unacceptable. And again, somebody needs to be saying enough is enough in that room, and needs to be saying it internally, because who's going to take the bull by the horns among the Jets' best players and say this isn't acceptable? And they need to do it not with words necessarily, but they need to do it with their actions. The Jets' best players tonight, the top 6, wasn't any good. They weren't any good. You can't pinpoint one of the Jets' top
I
6
thought
players.
Pierre-Luc Dubois was not good tonight. Like, and I'm a big Pierre-Luc Dubois fan. I think
Yeah.
you are, and Dave is. We all are. I mean, any Jets fan that's watched PLD this year, he's been one of their best players, right?
Right.
You know, it's been PLD and Morrissey leading the charge most nights, along with Mark Scheifele, Kyle Connor, and others. But PLD did not have a good game, and you're absolutely right. Like, it doesn't seem like anybody is taking the bull by the horns right now, and it kind of seems like a rudderless ship a little bit.
Who is, and I know that there's no captain on the team, and I don't need that somebody needs to have a C on their letter to take that bull by the horns here. But what player is going to just say enough is enough from the Jets' top 6 and almost bulldoze their way into, if not a goal, but at least a tone-setting shift? The Jets didn't have any of those shifts where they really imposed their will on their opponent, where we had seen them do that so many times earlier this year already, where they just said, we're going to keep the puck in the zone. You're not going to be able to get it off of our stick. We're going to be able to cycle it. We're going to be able to even maybe put a line change together during it. This is our puck. We are going to own it now for the next X number of minutes. It's been a long time since the Jets did that. It's been a long time since the Jets' top 6 had a shift like that where they could sort of embarrass their opponent. Because sometimes when that happens, when you're cycling and the opponent has no answer for you, it is embarrassing. Well, the Jets certainly haven't done that recently at all. And tonight, I can't think of one instance at all where they sort of dominated a stretch of the game, where they just sort of imposed their will. And again, if you're not imposing your will on a
early in the first, no, you're right. You're absolutely right.
Back and forth, I would say, but it was just all sorts of ugly. And the best players didn't step up to be the best players when the Jets needed them to be.
No, they absolutely did not. And, we've got the comment up from our friend Brad Kerbison.
Yeah.
There absolutely is a problem as far as I'm concerned. Again, problem, I said this on this morning's show. Like, when you're talking about a problem with this team, we're not talking about the Jets missing the playoffs, because the chances of them missing the playoffs are extremely low. Like, they're comfortably in a playoff spot. I mean, obviously, if a 3-game losing streak turns into a 7-game losing streak, then yeah, you're in danger of slipping out of second in the Central, and then you could be talking about a wild card spot. But you've got Colorado that's been pushing and nipping at your heels. Obviously, Minnesota has been struggling a little bit, so that helps the Jets. Yeah. And the Dallas Stars are, as we mentioned, 3 points ahead. But forget the standings for a second. We're just talking about the way the Jets have been playing over the last couple of weeks. Really going back to that game against the Arizona Coyotes. I wasn't on with you guys doing the post-game show, but I mean, anybody that I talked to that went to that game or watched that game on TV, and I listened to a bit of the post-game show. I mean, the Jets ended up getting the 2-1 win, but the Coyotes are one of the worst teams. What are they, second worst in the entire league? Like, you got to pump the Coyotes at home. And obviously nobody was expecting, the Jets to come into this game and not have a fight and a push from the Flyers. But, we talked about it, like, this Flyers team, if you shut down, a few guys, like, there aren't that many, there's certainly not as many game breakers on the Flyers as there are on the Sabres with, Tage Thompson, Jeff Skinner, Alex Tuck.
There's not as many game breakers on the Flyers as there are on the Jets, yet the Jets game breakers didn't show up tonight.
No, I know, I agree with you. And look at, like, I think, these guys are doing their best. There's something off right now. And it's not, and the thing is, it's kind of similar to last year in that you could easily say that the Jets were playing poor defensively. I mean, that was completely obvious. You could point to how many times last year did we talk about the special teams, right? Special teams are not the issue. It's everything right now. Like, sometimes the Jets are having trouble just putting together 3 passes and getting some sustained zone time.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, it's like you said, like, you're getting looks, and yeah, like, Mark Scheifele, it seemed like he had 5 or 6 shots on net. I'll check right now to see how many shots he had. He ended up with 5 shots on net. Not bad. So, I mean, Scheifele was shooting the puck. Morrissey was shooting the puck. Like, these guys obviously knew that 21 shots against the Sabres is unexpected. So they had 36 or 37, something like that tonight. But again, you didn't score any goals. So again, you could talk all you want about Kuhlman hitting the crossbar and everything like this. Like, these guys have to bury the puck. They have to grind it out. And this game against St. Louis, I would say it's a must win. Not a must win in terms of making the playoffs or not, but you have to go into this break with something good to talk about, something good to feel. Because right now, I mean, you got a couple wins on that road trip, but aside from that, the last couple of weeks have been just putrid.
They have been absolutely putrid. You're right. That's a good word for it. There's just been very little, except with the exception of the game against Pittsburgh. But that game was so far long ago now. You can't,
Exactly.
that it doesn't
That
really matter
might as well
anymore.
have been in September. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
you're not far off. It's you can't keep harping back on that as the reason, or as what you can hang on to for saying that the Jets are about to turn the corner. It's getting to be concerning. It's getting to be that you need to get a victory. Now, maybe, you play against a Western Conference team on Monday. Not, I'm going to say Tuesday again, but I learned my lesson about that earlier today on the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. But maybe you play a Western Conference team on Monday, and it's a team in St. Louis that's not very good, and it's a team that you've had some success against. Maybe that makes you more comfortable or makes you feel a little bit better about yourself. But right now, what I saw tonight from the Winnipeg Jets is a team that's fragile, a team that's clearly lacking in confidence, and a team that just doesn't know how to dig themselves out of this rut that they're in. There isn't that one person who's going to say right now to the rest of the team, follow my lead. Nobody's doing that. Strap on and hold on. I'm going to take us out of this rut. And that's
Right.
what's concerning. I mean,
and Pierre-Luc Dubois and Kyle Connor were doing that, earlier in the season for big chunks of the season. And
Right.
Obviously, Josh, I thought Morrissey was really good tonight. Like, obviously, what was it? The Owen Tippett goal. Was that the third goal that was the breakaway, right? Owen Tippett. Yeah. So obviously Morrissey got a piece of it. Pionk
that was
couldn't.
just sort of a weird one that it got all the way through, I would say.
Well, they let Tippett get behind them, right? Like that. I mean, Pionk and Morrissey were the pair for the Jets out there, and Morrissey gets a piece of it. But Pionk, I like, again, I'm not saying that this goal is completely on Pionk, but give Owen Tippett credit, right? Like, he gets the pass. Forget if it was from Ristolainen or who it was from, but I mean, it was just. Yeah, like, we'll get into that goal. It was Ristolainen. I just checked. So look this is not a game where you single out one or two turnovers. Like the first goal, we're going to get into it here.
Yeah.
The Jets coughed up the puck 3 times in their own zone before that goal was scored by Noah Cates, right? Mm-hmm. So, you have to be concerned. Forget the playoffs for a second. Just the process here. Like, what is the process? Like, what were the Jets doing tonight? What was the game plan against the Flyers? Because they certainly did not control the pace of play. They controlled the pace of play maybe the first 10 minutes of the first period, but that was about it. Like, it looks like they don't look fast. They don't look connected. Mm-hmm. I just don't know. Like, it's mind-boggling, really, what is going on over these last 7 or 8 games.
It certainly is ugly, and it was ugly all over the ice tonight. Let's get into it. The Betway game recap is brought to you by Betway, one of the most trusted voices in sports betting, both in Canada and all around the world. Betway is the sports betting app that puts you, the customer, at the forefront. With a large selection of betting options in sports, as well as strong promotions and fair odds, what are you waiting for? Head on over to Betway and bet your way. Must be 19 years or older to play. And of course, this first and foremost, please play responsibly. The Flyers open the scoring. It's at the 15-15 mark of the first period, just after the Logan Stanley hooking penalty expires. Noah Cates gets his 8th of the year assist to Morgan Frost and Owen Tippett. And it's, there's nothing pretty about it except that they got a puck towards the front of the net and then they won a battle. And they won the battle against, Neil Pionk is trying to find the puck, and he sort of accidentally kicks it onto the stick of Noah Cates, and then Noah Cates in one motion, beats Connor Hellebuyck with it. You can't blame Hellebuyck from my perspective, really, on any of the goals tonight. But it's just ugly playing by the Jets in front of their own goalie. It's ugly by Neil Pionk here. Stanley isn't able to get back into the play, so it's technically not a power play goal, but it's almost, in effect a power play goal. It's still just at the tail end of the 5-on-4, but it's just ugliness in front of the net. But the Flyers win the puck battle. And that's what I wanted to highlight, because so many times in tonight's game, Mazzy, the Jets didn't win puck battles.
Absolutely. And we talked about it with Kenny Wiebe who was on with us around 9:20 or whatever this morning, and we were talking about Pionk. I'm not sure, Drew, if you asked him. I think it might have been Dave that asked about Pionk.
Yeah, it was
like,
Dave.
look, I like Pionk as a person and as a hockey player, but he's struggling right now, and I don't know if it's just injury, if it's confidence, if it's mental. I don't know, but he's clearly struggling, and it's tough to watch at times. And this particular case you mentioned, it was. Noah Cates gets the goal, but I believe it was Morgan Frost that centers it, right? And Pionk kind of just does the one-handed stick check, right? Like it just wasn't. He just wasn't. When coaches talk about being strong on the puck, that's not being strong on the puck. And again, it's easy for me to say it's the end of a power play, and as you mentioned, Logan Stanley's not in there, so it is still a 5-on-4 situation. But it's just not. It's the opposite of being strong and tight defensively. Right. So again, there's nothing beautiful about this goal. Like this is not going to show up on the highlight reels.
No.
But again, like the Flyers just put it on the net, and I think it might have even gone off of Pionk's skate. And
it went off Pionk's stake back onto Cates' stick, and then he just puts it in. But it's just about the want and the desire. And the Flyers had more of the want and the desire all game long. As they, the Jets. When was the last time the Jets outworked their opponent? It's been a long time. I don't know if they got fat reading off their own media clips or their own headlines or their own place in the standings, but they got to that point based on hard work, and they got to that point based on a commitment to effort. But the effort has not been where it needs to be. It's not to say they're not trying. There's a big difference between that, because I wouldn't use the Q word for the Jets' performance, because that would be unfair to them. But with the effort they're putting in isn't getting them the results.
What's the Q word, by the way?
Quit. So there was no quit in their game. That wouldn't be fair to accuse them of that. But
was it quiz? Was it quibble? Like
it was quit in this instance. But they need to. If the effort that they have right now isn't getting them the results they need to increase that effort even more. They need to simplify the game and find a way to get to win those puck battles. To win a puck battle in front of Carter Hart, just like the Flyers won a puck battle in front of Connor Hellebuck to open the scoring 1-0, Ezzy.
Yeah, and you know what? Like, we talk a lot about effort and being connected and forechecking and back pressure and all this stuff, but like, the turnovers to me are maybe the most concerning thing about this Jets team, because it's not only are they turning the puck over, they're turning the puck over all over the ice, in their own zone, in the other team's zone, in the neutral zone. Like Blake Wheeler coughed up the puck tonight in his own zone, and it just like, it was like, what was he doing there? Like, nobody was around him. Like it's like they're playing frightened or something like that. And don't get me wrong, every team goes through bad stretches, right? Like we talked about the Sabres, they lost 8 games in a row earlier this year, right? Like teams go through bad stretches, but this is completely different than the last time the Jets lost 3 games in a row. Like this is like, the Jets are having trouble.
They're healthy.
They're having trouble scoring a single goal in a game, right? Yeah. Like obviously they didn't tonight, but they struggled to score a goal against the Sabres. Those goals didn't come until late in the third period, right? So there's a lot to be concerned about. Again, I do think they'll be better, and even though I wrongly predicted a win tonight against the Flyers, I think I'm going to predict a win against the Blues again. I just don't think they want to go into the break having lost 4 games in a row. But look, you don't think that Blues team's going to want to play the role of spoiler? Like they might be technically out of it, but they're not in the Connor Bedard sweepstakes, so they're going to try to win that hockey game. These guys have pride. So yeah, this is bad, and we'll keep getting into the goals here, but that's what stood out to me. The Jets, I think it was Pionk who had the last turnover, but the Jets had a couple of opportunities to clear the puck before that goal was scored. And again, like simple things about hockey, like you have to be able to clear your zone in certain situations, and that was towards the end of the shift. So you'll give them a little bit of slack there, but look who scored these goals tonight: Kiefer Bellows, Noah Cates, Owen Tippett, Tony DeAngelo.
These aren't household names.
This isn't Gretzky, Messier, Coffey, and Curry here.
It's really not. Flyers made it 2-0 at the 11:53 mark. Before I get to the 2-0 goal, I want to touch on, look, the officials handed the Jets an undeserving power play late in the first period.
Yeah.
Wheeler should have been penalized because it was a blatant penalty. Instead, Wheeler gets away with it because the refs can't call 2 penalties against the same team in a row. Instead, Philly gets an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty, apparently for telling the refs that they're lousy at their job, even though they are lousy at their job.
I would love to have heard what Torts was saying, because you could see Torts was giving. I think it might have been the players on the bench.
It was the
to be honest
players more than Torts, I think.
Or it could have been the players on the ice, I guess, right, Drew?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is like, because it was blatant that they missed this call.
Yeah.
In any event, and the Jets. Okay, here's a golden opportunity for you here, a golden chance for you to take advantage of that on the power play, an undeserving power play, and they don't do anything with it. The power play, it's not just one aspect of the game that's struggling. It's everything about the game that, as of late, that's struggling. I just wanted to highlight that one because that was an opportunity for the Jets to take advantage of something handed to them on a silver platter.
Well, and same thing with those third period power plays. And again, that's garbage time. The score is 4-0 when they got those 2 power plays. But to me, that was to have something to build on going into the game on Monday or Tuesday. We're still not sure when that game is. Obviously, I'm joking.
Yeah.
Anybody listening to the Saturday morning show, we forgot if the game was on Monday or Tuesday. But the point is, the power play was not good again.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the power play has struggled. I mean, the road trip, there were a few games there where it was clicking, but the power play has not been strong. And there's a lot that I think Rick Bowness and the coaching staff will be watching tonight on video, or tomorrow morning on video, not liking. Mm-hmm. And like we talked about, the Jets have got to figure this out, because this is, I mean, they're going to be the ones that have to dig themselves out of this, right?
No question. No one else is going to do it for them. No one else is going to do it for them, and that's just exactly where they are. No team is ever going to take any sympathy on you or anything like that. Flyers make it 2-0 at the 11:53 mark of the second period. Kiefer Bellows gets his first of the year, assist to Ristolainen and Noah Cates. It's just blatant puck watching. There's 5 Jets guys. None of them are taking Kiefer Bellows, who's all alone in the slot. I mean, there's it's Morrissey or who's on the ice here? It's Pionk and Stanley are on the ice. I think both Stanley and Pionk are behind the goal line. Scheifele, Ehlers, and Wheeler, that line was terrible tonight, are all puck watching. Nobody picks up Kiefer Bellows. And I know that Kiefer Bellows isn't typically a scoring threat, but any NHL player left alone in the slot in that position is a scoring threat. And he makes no mistake, and good for him. He beats Connor Hellebuyck upstairs. The Jets are just sitting there, I'm not sure what they're doing. They're covering air. They're doing a great job of covering air, but it's 2-0 Philly. And if this Jets team there was no sign that they were going to come back from 2-0 down, which obviously they didn't in the course of this game, has he?
Yeah, by the way, was Rasmus Ristolainen having the game of his year because we were mocking that contract when it was signed by the Flyers? Because Ristolainen, not only did he have a couple assists, but he actually looked really good out there. I still think, he's not the number one defenseman that they necessarily thought he was when they signed him. But you're absolutely right, Drew. I mean, like, there were turnovers that led to this goal, and there's no other way to say it. You nailed it. I mean, there's too many guys standing around watching. And Kiefer Bellows is a guy that's been a regular healthy scratch, so good for him. He roofs this one, glove side on Connor Hellebuyck. But again, he just gets a pass, and it's a nice pass by Ristolainen, but nobody picks him up. So yeah. It's again, the Ristolainen, he had the initial shot that missed the net. He picks up the puck, so the Flyers have control. They're moving the puck around. But again, this is an avoidable goal, right? Like, there's 2 guys, Scheifele and Wheeler are both there, and he's just not picked up. So, I don't know what else is there to say aside from that was a pretty weak defense by the Jets on that goal by Bellows.
That it was 2-0 for Philadelphia after 40 minutes. It's ugly, and the third period was only uglier. Where's the push, Jets? Where's your push, Jets? Where are you gonna find that dig deep and find that next gear in order to get back into this game, in order to cut the lead from 2-0 to 2-1? Well, it wasn't there. Owen Tippett, his 14th of the season, assist to Ristolainen and Cam York at 3:11. It's a breakaway. He gets in behind Pionk and Morrissey. It wasn't a great pass by Ristolainen. Pionk and Morrissey, in my estimation, are in pretty good position. No, you never want to let a player from the opposition behind you. You don't want that. So in that sense, that's not great. But the pass somehow evades both of them when it looked like it should have been picked off.
Morrissey got a tip.
Yeah, it looked like it should have been picked off relatively easily. This didn't look like it was a crisp. This wasn't Erik Karlsson, firing a pass up the ice, or Housley firing a pass up the ice to Selanne and sending him in on a breakaway. This was a bit of a floater, or a bit of a knuckleball that somehow got through both Pionk and Morrissey onto the stick of Owen Tippett. And look, there's a reason why the Flyers got Owen Tippett for Claude Giroux last year. It's because he's a good prospect. He's a good player. He's got 14 goals on the year.
First round pick.
Yeah, exactly. Former first round. Was he 10th overall, 8th overall?
Something like that.
Yeah, something like that by the Flyers or the Panthers back a few years ago.
Yeah.
Tippett comes in and he makes no mistake. He beats Connor Hellebuyck. It's 3-0 early in the third period. And it's just, it goes from bad to worse for the Winnipeg Jets.
Yeah, like that goal was for me like the end of the game there. Like, because, you like you said, in the first 10 minutes of the show, Drew, you go into the second intermission, you're down 2-0. Right. But you're still in the game. Like this game is not out of reach. And the Jets actually, I thought, came out with some decent energy and some scoring chances in the early part of the third period. But this one is an absolute killer at whatever it was, 3.5 minutes or something like that, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, you just can't let Owen Tippett get behind you like that. That's as simple as that. Like, right. So there's a lot of blame to go around there. But and even though Morrissey does get a piece of it, it's a clear breakaway. And again, you're not going to fault Hellebuyck. It's a nicely placed shot by Tippett. As you mentioned, he's a guy that maybe he's taken a little bit longer to develop than we thought, back when he was drafted in the first round. But, the Flyers buried their chances, right? So when the Flyers got their chances, they buried them. And, again, these are not necessarily self-inflicted, but again, defensive coverage, not picking up your guys, missing assignments, right? Like just generally sloppy hockey. And I think the two are very much related, right? Like earlier in the season, what was the narrative for this team being in first place in the Western Conference? Rick Bowness has finally got these guys to buy into a system where they play quick, they're aggressive on the forecheck, they pounce on turnovers, they're tight defensively. Now the Jets just look like this is the last year's Jets. Right, like we don't know what the hell they're doing out there.
Yeah,
right? Like guys are just nobody's picking up. The man in the slot. There's breakaways galore. There's odd man rushes galore. The power play. Even though they have decent zone time and looks, like they're missing the net and just not taking advantage. Like it's just there's just ugliness everywhere. And for me, that was it. The 4-0 goal. Okay, Hellebuyck gets pulled for Riddick, fine. But to me, the early third period goal that puts the Flyers up 3-0, especially with the way the Jets have been struggling to score on Carter Hart, that was it. That was the game.
Well, and the 4-0 goal a few minutes later, 3 minutes and 37 seconds later, Tony DeAngelo, his 9th assist to Scott Laughton. It's a 2-on-1, and I understand, and Scheifele comes in. The Jets are aggressive. They're pinching. They're trying to get back into the game. Scheifele misses wide. He misses the far side. The puck rims around the boards.
And Morrissey was completely caught up there. He was literally in front of Carter Hart. Like
that's right.
He's not even able to get back into the play.
Well,
exactly. And right, they were pushing. They needed a goal. Down 3-0. You need to do that. But again.
Right. But Scheifele needs to know. He needs to have better situational awareness there. He can't miss wide. You can't miss the far post on that play because he has to recognize and he has to realize that he's the player who's back because everybody else is in front of him. He's the player who's back who would need to cover for Morrissey. When he misses wide with the shot, and again, it's 3-0 and you're trying to score. So it's not, this isn't what ended the game for the Jets. But you do need to have a little bit of better situational awareness that when you miss wide there, it's going to come around the boards and you're going to be putting the defenseman in this situation who would have been Brendan Dillon. You're putting him in a vulnerable position to be at the mercy of a 2-on-1 because you're the last guy back and you've missed wide and the puck is ringing right around.
Absolutely.
And that's what happened with Laughton hitting D'Angelo going roof job, and that's the end of Connor Hellebuyck's night, and that's the end of the scoring tonight as well.
Yeah, and again, I don't know, maybe this is just me here. I didn't love the Hellebuyck pull because I think everybody expects him to play on Monday night or Tuesday night again. How many times are we going to tell that joke?
Thursday night.
I don't think Riddick is going to play. And that has nothing to do with this game. We talked about this I believe we talked about this morning, or maybe this was Thursday night. We talked about Hellebuyck getting the last 2 starts. So I'm not really sure what the point of that is. Is that just to kind of get him out of there because it's, to save him the embarrassment of a 5 or 6-0 goal deficit? Like,
you're saving him the embarrassment of it's both saving him and it's sending a message to the players who are still playing in the game that your performance is forcing me to do this.
Right. It's more the latter for sure, as far as I'm concerned, right? Like, it's less about, because look, 2-on-1, that pass by Scott Laughton. We talked to Anthony Sanfilippo about Scott Laughton. He's the only guy. I don't know if a lot of people knew that, to be honest with you. That's what we try to do. We try to educate people. He's the only person that has an A on his jersey this year. Not something, maybe the first time, by the way, that's ever happened, Drew.
Yeah,
you have to go back and look into that. Same thing with not having either team have a game day skate. That was something that we weren't sure if that's ever happened before.
6 o'clock start, yeah,
exactly. So, I mean, beautiful pass from Scott Laughton to Tony DeAngelo. Let's put aside what DeAngelo did, off the ice there, but it's a nice goal, and it's not Hellebuyck's fault at all. But you're completely right. Scheifele misses the net wide. Morrissey's up there pinching, and then I believe it was Carson Kuhlman who's rushing, to get back and make it, try to prevent a goal there. Who was the other defenseman? I think it was Pionk, right? So it's Pionk on the 2-on-1, and then Kuhlman tried to try to
come back. It's Dylan. Dylan's the other defenseman.
Pardon me. There you go. So. Yeah, it was, again, odd man rushes, breakaways, and even though the Jets are down 3-0 pressing at that point, you got to have better situational awareness there. So again, it's hard, it's tough, for Jets fans, to revisit these goals and everything like that. But look at this is rock bottom, I think, for the Jets this year, and they really need to dig deep and get focused and come out with a victory. I don't even care how many goals they score. They just got to get 2 points. They got to go into this break feeling much better about themselves, and I do think they will. But I was wrong, because I thought after the Buffalo game they were embarrassed. And let's not get it twisted here. We talked about it on Thursday night. That could have easily been a 5-1, 6-1 game for the Sabres. Like, the Sabres came into Winnipeg and dominated them, similar to, you remember, a couple of years back, Carolina did that.
Yeah, I remember that. That was when Svechnikov did the Michigan against the Jets.
I think it was 2 years ago, 3 years ago. But look at you not only, like, the shots to me don't really matter. Like, that's not, having 36 shots, 37 shots. You were shut out on home ice on a Saturday night by a team that's much below you in the standing. So I'm not taking anything away from the Flyers. I just don't think the Jets did themselves any favors the way they played defensively.
I would agree completely with what you said there, Ezzy. It's 4-0 is the final score tonight. Philadelphia absolutely dominant over the Winnipeg Jets. The Jets don't get any goals, so I can't, take a shot for a shot of the game from the Jets.
Take a shot.
I can take a shot for, I had to watch that hockey game, so. Seagram's Fireball tastes like heaven, burns like hell, much like watching that game would be. It would maybe burn your eyes like hell watching that. This is quite tasty as it happens. But
I can't believe you still have Fireball in that little bottle. Well, I would have finished that months ago.
I'm pacing myself. I'm pacing myself here is what I'm doing. I'm trying to prevent people from thinking that all of a sudden I've got an alcohol problem. I don't, folks. I promise you. That is the Betway game recap. It's brought to you by Betway. One of the most simple, fun, and safe to bet with Betway. So head on over to Betway and bet your way. Must be 19 years or older to play. Please play responsibly.
I'm putting all of my money on the 49ers, Drew.
Oh, that's good, Ezzy. That makes a lot of sense. I'm gonna hope that your wife is the one who actually holds the keys to the checkbook in the.
Well, we got the endorsement from Anthony Sanfilippo. I had no idea that he was a 49ers fan, and he called the win. So I think I'll splash a little money on the 49ers.
Alrighty, folks. If anybody wants to help out Ezzy and make a donation to his GoFundMe page on Monday, it's GoFund Ezzy so he can pay his mortgage. We'll send out the link to that page a little bit later on in the show. When we come back, we're going to hear from what the Jets head coach Rick Bowness had to say. He did not mince words about tonight's performance by the Jets. Tough Duck hardest hitting comment, merchandise contest, and the usual shenanigans you've come to expect on this fine post-game show. Ezra Ginsburg is on the right of your screen. I'm Drew Mandel. I'm on the left of your screen. Stay with us. It's the Illegal Curve post-game show. We're live on YouTube and all of our social media platforms.
Jerry Seinfeld, Chris Rock, Jon Stewart, Dennis Miller, Brad Garrett, the biggest acts and all the up-and-comers. They've all made their mark at Rumors Comedy Club, North America's longest-running independent comedy club. Rumors has kept Winnipeg laughing for over 25 years. When was the last time you laughed out loud? Make it a great night out with friends or book your office or birthday party, even a fundraising event at Rumors. Get all the details and dates on upcoming shows at rumorscomedyclub.com.
He winds up. Oh, looks like Ezzy took that one right in the choppers.
A blistering fast puck hurts like HE double hockey sticks. That's why I let the pros at Linden Market Dental Center turn my yow into
wow.
Get your brilliant smile back with state-of-the-art restorative and cosmetic dentistry from real pros.
And remember, always wear a mouth guard.
Now that's solid on ice advice. Learn more at lindenmarketdentalcenter.com. Creating smiles for life.
Whoa, Ezzy, everything okay? You look stressed.
Of course I'm stressed. We're moving, the house is upside down, the kids failed miserably at packing the fine china, and my life is in chaos. Chaos!
Yes, that does sound like a problem.
What am I going to do?
Ezzy, relax. Rolly's Transfer Moving and Storage is the answer. With 60 years of experience in moving Manitobans and a track record of exemplary customer service, one call to Rolly's and your stress is gone. No job is too big or too small. Just visit Rollies.com and they will take it from there.
Thanks, Dave, and thank you, Rolly's Transfer Moving and Storage, online at Rollies.com.
Dave, my man, why are you in the car already? It's hours until game time.
Drew, it's because I'm stressed out right now, driving around downtown Winnipeg, looking for a parking spot, and I'm not finding one. I've lost Ginsburg. I don't even know where that guy is right now.
Dave, haven't I taught you anything? Do what I do. Pre-book your entire month's worth of game day parking with the Grid Park app. It's super easy to use and saves me both time and stress.
Well, Drew, I'm not independently wealthy like you are. So I'm sorry that I don't have millions of dollars to pre-book my parking month in advance. What's that going to cost you? $25?
How about $5?
Come on, $5? No way.
$5. I'm not telling you a lie. And our listeners can get a free park with the new special promo code Illegal Curve. Guess what? There's more.
Come on, there's more, Drew. You're lying to me. What more could there be?
Grid Park now has underground parking, so my car can stay warm during the game.
So wait a second. All the driving around I do, looking for parking, minus 40. You're telling me I could be toasty warm in a car after the hockey game?
That's exactly what I'm telling you. Underground parking. Just download the Grid Park app. That's GRYD Park and use the code Illegal Curve. All one word. You'll park for free your first time. Hi, it's Drew from Illegal Curve here. Selling your home can be stressful, but it wasn't for me. Thanks to my friends at Zappia Group Realty, they made the process so easy. My home sold within 48 hours and with multiple offers. Zappia Group Realty took care of everything with their exquisite customer service and attention to detail. If you want to sell your home for more in less time, get started by talking to Frank and Mauro Zappia of Zappia Group Realty. Online at zappiagroup.com. For 3 generations and over 80 years, Tough Duck has been making apparel that works and plays as hard as the people who wear it. From jackets to work boots and everything in between, Tough Duck's clothing can handle the harshest environments, even the Illegal Curve hockey show. Work to live, live to play. Visit toughduck.com. Shortly after 9:30 in the evening, welcome back. This is the Illegal Curve post-game show. I am Drew Mandel. The man on my right is Ezra Ginsburg. He's feeling all right, I assume, on this Saturday night. What's happening in the Royal
I'm feeling great.
What's happening in the Royal Rumble, Ezzy?
I don't know. I didn't pay for the Royal Rumble. I thought you were going to have it on the second screen. There's actually, though, I don't know if this is the first time, but there's actually 2 Royal Rumbles.
The men's and a women's?
Yeah. And women have been in the Royal Rumble. Everybody remembers the famous one being China.
Yes.
I think she might have won it, actually. But
I don't know.
She was the 9th wonder of the world, as you remember, Drew. You know, I'm a big wrestling fan. But there's actually a 30-woman Royal Rumble.
The 32nd wonder of the world.
Exactly, yeah.
That's where I am at.
Elliot's got his 32 thoughts. You're the 32nd wonder of the world. Yeah,
it makes sense. You know, I'm very prestigious. It's all very important. In any event, okay, somebody else can give us Royal Rumble updates then, I suppose. If Ezzy's not up to the task, that's okay though, Ezzy. We got
Kevin Owens. I think that's the Kevin Owens Owens versus Roman Reigns is for the title. So I'm hoping Kevin Owens. He's from Quebec.
Yes, he is.
So I've got him as my when he surprised Bruce Boudreau. That's my I've got that as my Twitter display pic. To me, that was one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
Well, when Vancouver was screwing Boudreau around last week, Kevin Owens tweeted something I saw in support of Bruce Boudreau. Yeah,
nice.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable how everybody is behind Bruce Boudreau.
Well, did you see that?
Like, we're not just talking about in Canada or in the hockey world. Like, everybody, it's so funny how
fans the other day in Seattle. I guess so. Vancouver won their first game again. They beat Chicago in Rick Tocchet's first
good for
game.
you.
Yeah, congratulations, Mazel Tov. I guess you're better than the Flames though in that case. But and then the next night the Canucks went to Seattle and they got shit kicked by Seattle because Vancouver's terrible. And then the crowd in Seattle started chanting, "Bruce, there it is."
Oh, that's right. I did see that. Yeah,
which I thought was terrific because the Canucks. Congratulations, folks! You are the laughingstock of the NHL.
They're cheering for Brucey in other cities.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that's how bad they look.
It was pretty funny. Not funny. Rick Bowness's response to the Winnipeg Jets performance tonight. Let's go through some of these quotes because they're worth going through. Says some players seemingly, quote, didn't want to play tonight. Singles out his difference makers as being invisible. Can't even find them. Asked about the boos from the fans. I'm surprised there weren't more of them. More from Rick Bowness. Right now, we're going through a spell that as soon as the adversity kicks in, we're going on our own program, which was the problem all of last year. We thought we had corrected it. Now we have to correct it again, and we will. More Rick Bowness. That's all the fans want to see is a 60-minute effort. Right now, the process isn't good enough, and the effort isn't good enough, and that's all our fans want to see, so they are justified in their boos. Moore says that it was a mercy pull of Connor Hellebuyck after 4 goals. Quote, don't embarrass, pretty clearly, one of the best goalies in the league. Don't embarrass him. That was enough. So there's some quotes, some selected quotes from Winnipeg Jets head coach Rick Bowness, clearly not happy with the team's performance because he shouldn't be, but pointing the arrow directly where it needs to go. The Jets' best players, who yet again were completely invisible tonight and were badly outplayed by the opposition, a less talented opposition. But talent only gets you so far. Hard work and the desire to do the right thing and the demand on yourself to do the right thing is what gets you further, Ezzy. So some real truth from the Jets head coach.
Yeah, absolutely. And you talked about this on Thursday night. You talked about it on the Saturday morning show. Mm-hmm. We talked about it again tonight. Like, there needs to be a situation on Monday night where Mark Scheifele, Kyle Connor, Blake Wheeler, Pierre-Luc Dubois, like the senior leadership of this team needs to take over and start producing, right? And Ehlers as well. Like, again, and there's going to be bad stretches. So, we're not going to put this all on those guys, but these are the guys that get paid the big money to, score, essentially. Like that's how you win hockey games. You score goals. Like, and the Jets have to be better defensively, but how many hockey games are you going to win by scoring a goal or no goals, right? Like, obviously you're not going to score any games by scoring no goals, but you're absolutely right. So Bowness is calling out those players. And to me, like, again, you expect that out of Bowness after you get beat 4-0 on home ice. But we'll see. I mean, the result on Monday night is really going to be, what determines, whether this is all just, fluff or, these guys are going to, bear down and find it. Because I agree with what you said this morning, Drew. Like, the Jets clearly want to just get to the break. They're going to have 11 days off or 12 days off here. Yeah. A lot of these guys are going to go on vacation. Obviously, Hellebuyck and Morrissey are going to go down to Florida for the All-Star game, right? But for the most part, these guys are going to rest and, they're going to spend time with their family and friends, go on vacation, everything like that. But they've got a hockey game to play.
Yeah.
And, they've lost 5 of their last 7 games. So this is a big one. Again, must win, not must win in the sense of, playing for your playoff lives here, but must win in you got to stop the bleeding.
Yeah. You have to stop the bleeding is right, because if you keep this up, if this goes on, if this is the performance on Monday, I was going to say Tuesday again, but if this is the performance on Monday against the Blues, boy, oh boy, our tongue's going to be a wagon for the 11 or so days that you're off until you come back and face the Chicago Blackhawks. I guess that's 2 Saturdays from now, the 11th of February. That's that 9 o'clock start here in downtown Winnipeg. So the Jets definitely need a better performance to feel good about themselves going into the break after Monday's game against the St. Louis Blues.
And just quickly, Drew, I know we're going to get into the Tough Duck hardest hitting comment. We're going to get into the IC merch contest as well, but just wanted to mention, you mentioned the Blues. The Avalanche defeated the Blues. I'm not sure if you saw that, 4-2.
4-2, yeah.
So the Avalanche, I believe, are now 6 points back of the Jets with a couple games in hand, or 3 games in hand. So it didn't seem realistic a month ago.
6 points back with 3 games in hand.
There you go, 6 points back with 3 games in hand. So that's not really 6 points, right? Because you got to think that they're gonna win at least one of those games. They might win all 3 of those games, right? So it didn't seem realistic a month ago that the Avalanche could catch the Jets. But now the Jets are in danger of actually falling out of a top 2 spot in the Central Division. And then you're getting into a wild card race with Minnesota and Edmonton and Calgary and some of these other teams. So this is a very important game coming up on Monday night.
Yeah,
you need the points.
The saving grace for the Jets has been that the Dallas Stars have been losing in overtime. They haven't been able to get any wins during this Jets slide. The Minnesota Wild, as you referenced, Ezzy, they haven't been playing great hockey either. They're 2-2 with Buffalo after 40 minutes, so that'll be an interesting third period to keep an eye on, see if Buffalo continues their hot streak and if they can do the Jets a favor in knocking off their Central Division rival. We saw Colorado win, but it's not that Dallas is also separated from the Jets. They're 3 points up on the Jets, and I believe the Jets they're tied in games played at this point in time. So, the Jets are certainly still within striking distance of Dallas, but the rearview mirror is getting a lot closer. That's the difference from where it was, say, a week ago or 2 weeks ago before this slide really actively started. Tough Duck hardest hitting comment for this Saturday night. It's Saturday night. For this Saturday night, the Tough Duck hardest hitting comment, Ezzy, who is getting the toque from our friends at Tough Duck.
Before we get to tonight's hardest hitting comment, I saw Drywall Man. I don't forget when I see Drywall Man in the chat because it's one of the best names. Yes. Drywall Man, I believe, hasn't contacted me. He won, I want to say, a few weeks ago. Drywall Man won the Tough Duck hardest hitting comment. So Drywall Man, if you're still there, send me an email, Ezra@illegalcurve.com, because you got to get your Tough Duck toque. Send me your mailing address. Tonight, Drew, we're going to give it to Grizza Smash, another pretty good display name. That was back at 9:09, so about half an hour ago. JMO and Helly showed up to play. Third line had the best chances. This should not be how your team works. Really disappointed after this loss. That's going to be tonight's hardest hitting comment. So hopefully Grizza Smash is watching and he knows that he won. If somebody knows Grizza Smash and he isn't watching, then let him know. But send me an email, Ezra, EZRA at illegalcurve.com. Send me your mailing address and Tough Duck will ship out a toque for you. And again, I'm going to reiterate how badly you need the quality Tough Duck toques, because it didn't seem that bad. It was cold during the day, but early this evening, it definitely felt like it was around -40. So there you go. Grizza Smash. Send me an email and you will get a Tough Duck toque.
There you go. Congratulations to Grizza Smash, the winner of tonight's Tough Duck hardest hitting comment for his comment that we had up on the screen earlier. Send Ezzy the email. Now, I remind you, folks, so we're going to give away some more Jets gear coming up here momentarily. And of course, there's a unique code word as well that I'm going to display on the screen momentarily. But we remind you that today is Saturday, ahead of Monday's game against the St. Louis Blues. This is your last opportunity. The next couple days, the next 24, maybe 36 hours is your last opportunity to do more of the items on the contest page in order to gain more entries into the Illegal Curve merchandise contest, because the winner that we're going to draw for Monday's game against St. Louis, that winner is not going to get authentic Winnipeg Jets gear. They're going to win 2 tickets to an NHL game of their choosing. So Tuesday or Monday's winner gets tickets to an NHL game of their choosing. So now is the time this month, because we're wrapping up towards the end of January. Now is the time to gain as many entries as you can and get extra entries if you can, and do all the different tasks that earn you entries so that we want to send you to a Jets game or any game of your choosing when we draw your name, if we draw your name on Monday. So whatever it is, it's any game in any NHL city, be sure to get your entries in to be able to win. The unique code word. This one gets you 10 entries on its own. Given that we were playing against the Philadelphia Flyers, or the Jets were playing against the Philadelphia Flyers, pardon me, the unique code word or words is iPad free zone. We all remember earlier this year, John Tortorella saying, no iPads on the bench. You guys are focused too much on what's happened. Focus more on what's ahead, what your next shift is going to look like. Don't look back at the previous shift. Look forward to the next shift. iPad free zone, all one word, all cap letters. That is the unique code word for the Illegal Curve contest. Put that code word into the contest page, and you will get entries to get your name drawn in the Illegal Curve merchandise contest. Much like our winner, it shouldn't just say Smithson. I don't know why it says Smithson. It should say Philip Smithson. I'm not sure what happened to the name Philip there. Let me type that.
Maybe Philip is now like Cher.
It could be. He might just have one name.
Yeah.
There
By the way,
go.
did anybody else, yourself included, Drew? By the way, congratulations to Philip Smithman. He's a longtime IC listener / viewer.
Yes,
recognize that name. I've never met Philip personally, but in person. But did you see that Britney Spears renamed herself River Red?
No. I happen to miss that one. Surprisingly,
like not Red River, River Red. Like, and I don't know if this is a joke or if it's just like a nickname or something like that, but I saw that. Anyways, you know, I'm a big Britney Spears guy.
I do know that you're a big Britney Spears guy, but I did not. I must have missed that in my TMZ watching. That Britney Spears is now River Red, but maybe that'll be the code word for one game upcoming. You know how we like to, harken back to some previous shows to make sure people are watching in order for them to understand why the code words are what they are. But a big congratulations to Philip Smithson, the winner of the Illegal Curve merchandise contest for tonight. He's going to win some great Jets gear. And again, the Illegal Curve unique code word of the day, iPad free zone. So enter that in on the contest page. You can find the contest page in the drop down arrow of our YouTube channel in the show description, or you can also find it all over our website, illegalcurve.com. A double dip of IC comes to an end for this Saturday night there, Mr. Ginsburg. It's been a pleasure spending
go for a double dip cone right now.
I'm surprised. You know what? The world is your oyster. It's 9:47 p.m. I'm confident your kids are in bed. Your wife is probably in bed. You get in that car. You've earned that ice cream cone. Even though it's
I will absolutely not be leaving the house right now. It is freezing.
Hey, you know that
I will be in bed within 20 minutes.
Okay, there you go.
Actually, probably not. I'll watch SNL.
Oh, really? Yeah. Look at you. You're watching SNL.
I'm still old school. I still like to watch SNL live 10:30.
Okay, look at you staying up, burning up.
When I have a chance.
Yeah, when you have a chance, you might only have to stay up for another 45 minutes. And who's the host tonight? I bet. Do you know?
I have no idea.
That's what I was the answer to that question.
No, I have absolutely no idea. I mean, it doesn't matter to me. I'll watch it regardless of who the host is. But
hang on. I'm here. The host, River Red, is the host tonight. River Red is hosting Saturday Night Live tonight. So it's all coming together in a perfect harmony. Not a perfect harmony for the Winnipeg Jets. In fact,
did you see? Sorry, I know you. I mean, with rumors and comedy in your blood.
Yes.
Did you see John Lovitz? I believe was John Lovitz was portraying George Santos
on Saturday Night Live.
I believe so. Yeah, George. For those who don't know, George Santos is
he's the lying
bit of a joke right now in the U.S. political scene. So I'm pretty sure John Lovitz played him. Apparently, it was hilarious. I haven't seen it, but I thought you would like that.
I have.
He was on Howard Stern recently.
Okay. Normally I listen to Howard. I haven't watched an episode of Saturday Night Live in a long time. So unless it goes viral and I somehow see it in my socials, my socials, because I'm cool, I can say things like that. Otherwise, I'll probably miss it otherwise. But
well, you're seeing some SNL guys live and in person at Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club, right?
Yeah. Chris Red is coming in March. So if you don't already have tickets to see Chris Red, you can definitely get those at rumorscomedyclub.com next week at I mean, Kevin Farley was playing to a week's worth of sold out shows this week, and then Kyle Bottom, of course, next week at Rumors. So we want to say thank you to Rumors for, of course, being the sponsor, one of the sponsors of the post-game show, the Saturday show, the website. Our friends also at Linden Market Dental Center, Zappia Group Realty, Betway, Tough Duck. That's where Grizz Smash is getting his toque from. Boston Pizza, Seagram's, Rolly's Transfer, Grid Park, and The Keg support all these fine businesses because of their continued support of Illegal Curve Hockey. If you haven't already done so, smash the like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel, subscribe to the podcast, leave us feedback on the YouTube channel, leave us feedback on iTunes, on Spotify, anywhere where you can download the podcast. We always love to hear what you have to say and what have to think about this fine program and all the fine programs we put together. More post-game coverage to come on illegalcurve.com. For Ezra Ginsburg, I'm your host, Drew Mindell. If it's Saturday, it's both the Illegal Curve Hockey Show and tonight, the Illegal Curve post-game show. Thanks for joining us, everyone. We'll see you on Monday for the post-game show right around 9:45 p.m. following the Jets and the St. Louis Blues. Until then, have a great night. Be safe. We'll see you soon.
Thanks for listening to this broadcast from Illegal Curve Hockey. For more great Illegal Curve content, subscribe to the Illegal Curve YouTube channel, follow at Illegal Curve on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and visit your online home for hockey in Winnipeg, illegalcurve.com.